Hello again.
Howdy ho. Today is, my coworker says howdy ho all the time. I've never said it, and now I'm like, every time I want to say hi to someone, I'm howdy ho. August 28th. Today's topic is the Opulent Stoic. Seneca says, "The founder of the universe, who assigned to us the laws of life, provided that we should live well, but not in luxury. Everything needed for our well-being is right before us, whereas what luxury requires is gathered by many miseries and anxieties. Let us use this gift of nature and count it among the greatest things." Okay, nice. Live well, but not in luxury.
Yeah, live well, but like what luxuries? So, yeah, luxury is it's like a misunderstanding of life or something, in some way.
Well, I like that he says what luxury is acquired through many miseries and
Yeah.
anxieties.
Yeah.
And that's maybe like the core distinct, because it's like, well, where does living well turn into luxury? And maybe
Yeah.
the point at which it tips is the point at which I'm accumulating things because I'm sad and I don't want to feel sad anymore, so I need this stuff. Or I'm anxious and I'm worried about things, and so this takes away my fear. And so maybe that is a good way of thinking about, like, okay, well, that's luxury then, versus like living well is the enjoyment of
I can
all of
afford
this.
these things. I can go do things, but I'm not going,
I'm not accumulating for these reasons.
or being some people are like over the top when they come to money, right? Like, I feel like it's usually people who come to money who never had any money. That's when they start showing that they made it or something, right? Like, because that's so important in their life to like go from this like, hey, I was born poor and like I had nothing and I made it, and now I have all this stuff and I want to show it to. So it's not, the luxury is not actually for the one who has the wealth. It's for the ones who are in contact with them, so they have some perception of him in a certain way. You know what I mean? Like, do you want to really live in that luxury, or is it more of like, no, when people come over, wow, this guy is super, you know what I mean? Because it's like some of that luxury is not actually like attractive. You know what I mean?
From whose perspective?
From perspective of like simplicity or something, it's like a lot. It's like always luxury always looks like over the top, like it's like a wedding cake or something. It's just like this over the top thing, right? So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, to impress people. There's but there's other reasons you would do do luxury too.
Self, yeah.
Like misery and anxiety.
Yeah.
I love that that's what he's saying. It's like just very simply like it can present differently for different people, but like ultimately it's coming from a place of like internal lack, versus like living well is coming from a place of
right.
I want to experience
it's internal lack to plug that internal lack hole. AKA, I'm gonna get all this luxury and show everyone that I don't have that hole.
Right.
So yeah. So it is showing off for the purposes of self healing in some way or something. Yeah. There's pain in there for sure. This is not like, oh, these bad people buying a bunch of shit and like no. They are hurt in some other way, and they don't know how to deal with it. So this is the way they deal with it. This is their painkiller, if you will, or something.
But on the other hand, we are here to live well and to enjoy the gifts of nature.
Mm-hmm.
And so
this is not designed for us to be poor, is what that says. This is designed with abundance. Just by just by what we talked about the other day, like you putting a one seed into the ground and then one seed produces 10,000 new seeds. Like that whole system, that it works that way, is the setup for abundance and for living well, not luxury. Don't go dig up gold from 10,000 miles under the freaking, crust just to have bigger rings or some craziness. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just too, yeah. Living well.
You ready for Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
Even in his own time, Seneca was criticized for preaching Stoic virtues while accumulating one of the largest fortunes in Rome. Seneca was so rich that some historians speculate that major loans he made to the inhabitants of what is now Britain caused what became a horrifically brutal uprising there. His critics' derisive nickname for him was the Opulent Stoic. Seneca's response to this criticism is pretty simple. He might have wealth, but he didn't need it. He wasn't dependent on it or addicted to it. Nor, despite his large bank account, was he considered to be anything close to Rome's most lavish spenders and pleasure hunters. Whether his rationalization was true or not, or whether he was a tad hypocritical, his is a decent prescription for navigating today's materialistic and wealth-driven society. This is the pragmatic instead of the moralistic approach to wealth. We can still live well without becoming slaves to luxury. And we don't need to make decisions that force us to continue to work and work and work and drift further from study and contemplation in order to get more money to pay for the things we don't need. There is no rule that says financial success must mean that you live beyond your means. Remember, humans can be happy with very little.
Yeah, that's interesting because there are a couple of things that like they're saying like two words, or like they're exchanging two words like luxury and wealth or something almost. And like I think that he's explaining it there, right? Like oh no, wealth is different than luxury, right? But like but the quote was about luxury, right? Wealth is like, yeah, you can be a billionaire, but that doesn't mean that you need to live in luxury, right? You don't need Rolls Royce and I don't know, you know what I mean? Whatever someone might think that it's valuable and needed, but you don't need that, right? So that's the thing, like because you can sometimes the same way as you can't sometimes avoid losing a bunch of stuff, you can sometimes also not avoid gaining a bunch of stuff, right? And it's like it seems like it doesn't matter if you have money or you don't have money. Like it's about like living well and not in this luxury thing, but like I'm also confused of who is this for? This whole quote.
I think he's just saying like, because see the thing with the
is this for
the issue
for the 1% or something? Or?
No, it's for all of us. Like the issue that
like in case we become so wealthy or something, and then we would.
Well, we're all trying to accumulate wealth, and so he's giving us a guideline for here's what you do with it. Like
once you
live well, but do not accumulate things because you're miserable or you're anxious. Like that's like pure and simple what I'm like getting from this. And so this is why like even an example about
that's what you're getting from it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
like this is even why like an example of like, well, if you're a billionaire but do you need a Rolls Royce or something? Like I'm not even willing to go to that line of questioning because I'm like, well, I don't know where this Rolls Royce is coming from. Is it coming from like this is your absolute favorite car and you have the means to pay for it and you feel good inside of it and like someone could take it away from you and it would be okay, but like I'm gonna get this car because it's my favorite car. Or is it coming from a place of like, must impress, not good enough, really anxious.
But that's assuming that the person knows the difference.
Well, that's for each one of us to know for ourselves. And so, like, that's why I'm taking this not as like, well, let me go diagnose how other people are spending their money.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I would not need to buy a Rolls Royce if I had millions of dollars. That's what I'm saying. Like,
because it's not your thing. But, like, maybe for somebody else, it is their thing. And so for them, this is, like, an expression of living well. And, like, it's not my
and that would be the definition of luxury in my eyes.
Well, here
expression
he's
of
saying
living well.
Well, luxury, Seneca's defining it as things that are accumulated out of misery or anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a potential scenario where this person can buy a Rolls Royce and enjoy it without it being driven by those two things. Sure. So that's the distinction here between living well.
We're not talking about just Rolls Royce. We're talking about
yes, that's an example.
All of that stuff in there because it's like I don't want to judge somebody for buying a Rolls Royce. Like, it's not my place.
Right.
Like,
there's much poorer people that are buying things that are luxurious, that are cheap luxury or something, but they're doing it for the luxurious reasons of
they want to show off to someone with it.
So it's not the dollar point on the things that are being accumulated. It's like, well, why am I doing it? Like, what are my motivations? So, like, what I'm taking from this is just like, I mean, like, looking at that in myself, and your question of like, well, who is this written for? I mean, really to all of us, because we are all in the business of like building our wealth or like building our life. Like, a life is sort of like an accumulation, like you're talking about abundance, and it's like, it's designed this way. So it's like, okay, well, I need to do this the most mindful way possible. Because if I'm like surrounding myself with luxury that's according to me.
Yeah, so this is like it just seems like a after school special, like, hey guys, in case you like accumulate this wealth, be responsible with it. You don't have it right now, but one day you might, and so be responsible. Don't be a dick and start, doing crazy shit because you're gonna lose it all or something or whatever.
We have these tendencies, no matter how much money we have. So I don't hear that in here of like, oh, you only are falling prey to this once you get to a certain dollar amount. Like, this is just like how human beings are. So it's like, no matter where you are in the spectrum of your wealth accumulation, maybe you're getting food stamps and that's where you're at. But like, even the person who's getting food stamps might still walk into a store or
buy a fake Louis Vuitton bag just because
of this thing. Exactly.
To want to be like, hey, I want to show. If I show that I'm better than I am, then that will be my way to success.
Right.
So these people are not doing anything wrong. They're actually trying and believing in that system of, if I show wealth, that represents I have wealth, and people will treat me differently. They will treat me like I am wealthy, and then more wealth will come to me.
Perhaps that is like the underlying belief.
Yeah, because they don't know how to accumulate the wealth, but the wealth is always thrown into our kind of, like, hey, look at this stuff. Can you afford this? Hey, do you want to buy a new Tesla for $70,000? Hey, do you want to do all this stuff? Right? Like, then you go like, well, I'm gonna need to go get this money then for all this stuff. So it's like all about like what's really worth in your life is the things that you possess. That's all marketing ultimately, right? In some way, right? Like they're the commercials that are selling us products are ultimately teaching us that us showing wealth is the way we accumulate wealth, and they continue to kind of cultivate that same thing or something,
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, I think today's materialistic and wealth-driven society.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not marketing. Like, marketing is a symptom of materialism, which is, like, it's... for better, for worse, like it or hate it.
It's just one poor cog
in the machine of materialism.
It's also one of the cogs that is not helping the machine to work some other way, you know.
Well, I mean that's a different conversation.
Hey, we're just the cogs, so let's keep selling.
But that's a different conversation of like, do we change the machine of materialism to something else? Sort of like in the meantime, it's on each one of us individually to take responsibility for ourselves to say, how am I engaging with this? Yeah. Because I know this is going to try to pull me in that direction. Yeah. They're in the same boat. These guys were in the same boat. Like it sounds like this Roman society was pretty similar.
Buying anything that's not that might get you something but there's actually no results in it. Like you having luxury, like you might get some sort of a superficial like friendships or people being like in awe about what you have for a little bit, and you get this kind of a feeling of importance. But it's like candy. It's just like it's like candy. It's
right.
Like, shoo,
well, and that's gone. Why they're even writing this quote.
There's no value in it actually.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it's like a not a lot of value in it. Yeah, good one. Okay, sounds good. Let's not go spend all our money on
hookers and blow.
Yeah, just yet. Is that a luxury? I guess. In some way.
Depends on why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like that is the quote. Like
right.
Why are you doing this? From where are you doing this from?
Oh, I just like it. It's great.
I mean, if that's the truth, like it's not my job to call anybody else out on their bullshit. That's not my fucking job. My job is to call myself out on my bullshit. So I'm not concerned with why is this Rolls-Royce.
It seems like you are concerned a little bit. Is you getting worked up
about it? No, because like sometimes when you're talking about it, you're talking about other people. Like, well, and this person's doing it like that. And I'm like, well, I don't fucking care how they're doing it because that's not my business. My business is how am I doing it? Am I doing it according to this? Yes, no, maybe so. But if I'm lying to myself, that's why I got to keep on it. Because I know that I do lie to myself all the time about everything. So if I'm paying attention to other people's shit, I'm not paying attention to how I'm lying to myself right now. And I'm not getting that next layer of the onion to peel off. So I'm like, all right, I don't even want to think about other people's bullshit. That's like a waste of my mental resources. I need to pay attention to getting myself squared away because that's the only way I'm going to be happy. I'm never going to be happy if I'm like thinking about what you have to work on. I'm only going to be happy if I think about what I need to work on. So this is where I'm getting amped up.
You've heard it here first. Okay, good times. Good, yeah, great.
We will see you here tomorrow.
See ya.